Oh, I've been seeing things on Instagram and stuff like that with the AI technology bridging these gaps and seeing and hearing and like being able to do a movement pattern they couldn't do before. Like, I tear up every time.
I had to close it down because they stopped paying me, and they just working with government is a pain in you know what.
And so and you only had to work like 10 days. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm totally in. So I did this, and Vail's motto is building tomorrow's leaders.
We're financially different. It doesn't matter where you are financially. This is so important for listeners. You can still serve millionaires, billionaires, hyper successful people because they're human.
All right, friends, today I have the guest Steve Ramona on the podcast. He is one of these superhuman networking connector, empowerer, cheerleader, all the good ers in life. And I met him in a mastermind. He has introduced me to 100 million people. He's running a mastermind in March of 2024. I wanted you to get to know him and learn about building your brand, building you, and becoming your best self. So enjoy the podcast. Today on the show, we have Steve Ramona, who is a friend of mine from a mastermind. And probably my tuition to the mastermind is worth it just by knowing this human here today. So I'm so excited to have him and be able to share him with the rest of the world. So Steve, my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. That's a great introduction, and I appreciate that. We all need to help each other. That's the whole goal.
It is. It is. And, I wasn't a masterminder at all. I don't know why. And then I got convinced to join this one, and I didn't like the one I joined. So I dropped out and I joined this one. And I'm like, okay, these are my people. They're action oriented, they're goal oriented, and our meetings are an hour with lots of nuggets to execute and do and become.
That's the power of it right there. And people care. It's not business care. It's truly heart care.
Yeah, exactly. We got to know each other as individuals first, which I think was a big asset for all of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so your story is fascinating. Bring us back to good old like the health club days when you were young.
It is a great story, and every time I tell it, it makes my heart sing. So got done with high school. My family launched a health club, and my cousin, who's the president, said, hey, you looking for a job in the summer? You want to come work for us? I said, sure. It's family. What's the harm? So I started working the front desk, and then next year came, and the next year came, and more duties. And so I was there 20 years. How a lot of us start our jobs. Yeah, I'll try it. And then you grow in the job. But what I learned, Jen, was so powerful. What's happened to us is this networking, but building relationships in that network. So I would sit there, and 18 years old, 40, 50, 60-year-old guys, very wealthy, come in and work out. Hey, Tony. Hey, Joe. Have a great workout. Hey, how was your vacation? And we started becoming friends and talking about, hey, how you doing, Steve? And the one story I remember is Tony, the Italian guy. Hey, kid, in a deep, raspy voice. He goes, I got a book for you. I said, yeah, what do you got? He goes, why don't you read this book, The Wealthy Barber? Okay, great. Small book. He says, 60 pages. You can handle it, young kid. I think it was 19. So I read it, and the next week he came in. He goes, hey, did you read the book? I said, yeah, I did. Great. Saved 10% of my money, basically, and a few other things I learned. He goes, kid, you got it. So we just kept going. I read the book, and I started saving 10% of my income at that time. And this is 79, 80. So I was making $6 an hour, $5 an hour.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then, so I was 18, 19. So at 30, 11 years later, I go look at that bank. Now I looked at it periodically. It was growing. Oh, this is great. But I hadn't looked at it for a while. And I looked at $58,000 in it.
What? Congratulations.
Yeah, I spent 25% of it that day, which being a kid, 30-year-old, as you do. But here's the cool thing about the story is I still had Tony's number, and I called him. Hey, Tony, Steve Ramona. Hey, kid, what's up? Still calling me kid. He's probably in his 80s. I said, remember you told me to save the money in the wealthy bar? Yeah. I said, I got $58,000 in there. He goes, good job, kid, because 95% of my clients would never listen to me, and they would have been billionaires. They never became billionaires. The guys that did made millions of dollars. Some are billionaires. I said, what do I owe you? It's 58,000. Let me send you $1,000. He goes, no, kid, you listened. I served you. You took that and made money. That's all the reward I need. I changed the universe. And I learned, Jenn, that you can do and serve and help, and law of increase, law of reciprocity, whatever that is, your world will change. And guess what I did? I helped somebody else because he helped me. And then it, domino effect, people start helping each other. It's a great way to start my life. It was so powerful.
Do you give that book away as a gift?
I should. I didn't think about it, but I should. I got to write that down. That's a great idea. That's why I love you. You're so smart.
Well, it's so you. It's who you were. It's how you got to where you are. Okay, so you went from, what made you exit the health care business, or the health?
We were 20 years in, Jan. We worked every Christmas, every Thanksgiving. Loved it. I met thousands of people, still friends today, some of these people. So I built this huge network. What happened was a company came to us, another health club, and said, hey, we want your clubs. And my cousin said, hey, put a price out there. Didn't think they'd take it, and they did. We're like 20 years, it's time. And we sold the club. And then I went through a depression.
Yeah, because that was your identity, right? Like, those are your people.
What am I going to do? And a member reached out to me, again, my network reached out and said, hey, meet me in a restaurant. Let's talk. So he says, hey, I'm launching a restaurant. Would you like to work there? I said, I know nothing about oysters. I'll teach you all that. Don't worry. And here's the power of serving and connecting. We had 8 tables and we had a bar, and he taught me how to cook. So I would cook I ran the whole restaurant by myself because it was so small. But sitting back, cooking and talking to everybody, talking to the table, hey, how you guys doing? Good to see you again. Just like the health club, but now in a restaurant, I started building relationships, and I started doing specials and emailing people and connecting with them. Hey, here's our specials. We grew. Friday, Saturday, we were booked 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock. He was so happy. And I started building more of my network because I could sit and talk and allow some of those people are still friends today. We closed in 2004. So 19 years later, still friends. We closed the club in 2000. That's 23 years. This is the thing about building relationships. And you said, and I appreciate what you said, you treat people right, serve them, think of how you can bring value to them when you meet them. The first time, second time, 10th time, doesn't matter. I see you and I right away have an idea for you that somebody to connect you with. Always, and it doesn't have to be referrals. People ask me, do I need to do money? I'm really hurting right now. Absolutely not. Go to the grocery store, buy your apple, the food you're going to buy. You see somebody needs help, go serve them. Help them, that lady with the can that's really high, and you'll start seeing your universe change. And that's what's happened to me, especially with the podcast that I have.
I know your podcast is a huge hit. Yes. And when did you start podcasting?
October of 2022.
Oh my gosh, you're still new and you're that successful at it. You were just off the grounds running.
Yeah, but the value, the learning all these years, the health club story, the restaurant story, I took that when I met guests. We do a podcast, we talk after. Hey, I learned about this. I learned about this. Hey, let me refer you to this person. They can help you. Hey, here's a resource that'll help you here. Well, you come off a podcast, as you know, doing a great show like this show is going to be, and you're on a high. Then you start bringing them value. What's the next thing? And it just happened this morning. Steve, how can I help you? Well, I've got this and I've got this and I've got this. Can you help me? Literally, I get 3 to 10 referrals daily since January when I launched the show. Hey, you need to be on his show. You need to connect. He's a great guy. He's got he's a connector. I'm nothing special. I'm special. I took action.
Yeah, you took action, right? And you're not and I think you just have a servant's heart. I mean, at the end of the day, that's just who you are. If I had to describe you to somebody, it would be, he is a human that has so much love in him. It just spills out into everything he does and everybody he touches.
Amen. I love that. That's my mission. When I met Josh, who we both know, we're in the mastermind with, I said, what do I need to do? He said, just start recording. I don't care how you do it, what kind of equipment, just start recording. And what happened was that network started to build. They didn't care how the show, and the shows turned out really well. You're always going to have some that aren't, but it was just, you're promoting somebody, you're giving them value. Like, hey, I'm going to put you into my network. Well, guess what, Steve? I'm going to put you into my network. And crazy things like a billionaire 6 weeks ago, I get this call and he goes, hey, I'm an owner of this network marketing company. I heard about your podcast. And he went on an hour about all the things he did. Let him, again, when you serve, listen, shut up and listen. And I did. He goes, I want to work with you. Absolutely. So, and then he says, and here's the thing about networking, about building relationships. I'm so excited to work with you. I'm really good friends with Vicente Fox, the ex-Mexican president. I'm thinking, oh my God, get him on my show? The power of that. Again, treating people right. Death, 100% guarantee is death and taxes. I add building relationships, positive relationships, bringing value to somebody. They're going to be happy for 5 minutes, 5 weeks, 5 months, or 5 years, but you're going to put a little injection of positivity in them. They're not going to like you.
Right. Well, and it's exponential where it goes to everybody else, right? I mean, we have the ability to positively impact people or negatively. And if we're really conscientious of that, the impact just ripples because we're a connected species. So it is, yeah, we do need it. So what did you do after the restaurant?
So then I launched my own brick and mortar company. I was lucky to be able to do that. Thank God my dad, who's in heaven right now, gave me some money. And it was a recycling company where I took computers and electronics, and my team would go out and collect them and come back, and the state would pay us for all the metal and all the different disposable. I did that for 7 years, and it really taught me, hey, I got 2 employees here and you have employees, you'll understand this. It's like, I got to do things right. And I'd get mad sometimes and back off. But they stayed with me for the 7 years. I brought one guy on and he brought his father-in-law, and they're only employees I ever had. But here's a lesson the listeners need to listen to. And you may have been familiar with this. I had to close it down because they stopped paying me, and they just, working with government is a pain in you know what. So I reached out to my cousin Jeff and my dad, and I said, hey, he said, Steve, but what about my employees? I don't want to shut this down. Again, my servant heart. They go, you're doing them a service. They go out and get another job, because if you can't start paying them, or you have to stop paying them, that's worse. And it didn't work out well. They found other jobs, and I moved on doing different things. So when you think it's the worst, most of the times it's not.
Right. Most of the time, it's just that pause. And in that pause, you get to evaluate, okay, actually, there's 1,000 other scenarios that I'm not letting my brain look at that are also true. And so where do I want to lean into that actually serves all of us instead of keeps us trapped and victims?
Perfectly said. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Okay. So then from that business, then where'd you go?
I got using my network, leveraging my network. I started doing network marketing. Did well in some companies I didn't. Became a point where it was a great way to make me an entrepreneur, but it's for me, I want to be able to help more people that are willing to be helped. In that scenario, and nothing wrong with network marketing, but you have a team there. I kept trying to help them, spending time and servant heart, and sometimes it would, sometimes it wouldn't, kind of like employees in a sense. But it just taught me about entrepreneurship and leadership, which is part of serving. You need to be a servant leader.
And then you got into keynote speaking and doing speaking stuff. So talk to us about that, because that's vulnerable.
It is, and it's. I'm not that nervous about it. I've had a lot of people give me input. March, we're doing our event. We'll talk about. I'm going to talk about networking and be able to get people to understand the right way of doing it, not coming in and, hey, Jenn, you need this here. It's $199. Come and get it. It'll change your life. I don't know you, Steve. And we get that a lot. We're starting to get it on social media. Building relationships is that marathon. The sprints just work short time, but then you look 6 months later, and guess what? Your income is dropping. You haven't built that relationship. And then when you build a relationship, those clients, customers that love you, They're going to refer people like crazy. They become your sales team in essence.
Right, right. Yeah, I was in a session once and they're like, you have to build the people below you so that they are the ones that are pushing you so that it becomes exponential. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I worked at Vail organization for a while. So Vail, I was a ski instructor when I first moved to Park City because it was a way for me to meet people. I got a free lift ticket for everybody in my family. And it was a way for me to improve my ski skills because you got free ski lessons. And so and you only had to work like 10 days. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm totally in. So I did this, and Vail's motto is building tomorrow's leaders. And they like don't care if you stay with the company or not. They're just very leadership focused, and they believe that if they do a good job at building the leaders, they're not going to want to leave. But if they do leave, they're going to have a loyalty to the company and just the impact that they're going to have on society. And I loved that Vail could take such a bigger picture of it all and be like, hey, we're just building leaders. We'll attract who we attract, and who we don't, we at least make the world a better place. And yeah, I remember that whole piece. And anything I do, I'm like always trying to build the people that help me. Like, hey, you know what? Some of them are going to leave and some of them are going to stay, but no matter what, they're all going to have a good taste in their mouth. And that's what I want to have happen.
Yep. And there's enough for everybody.
There is. Okay, so talk to us about the event in March, because I'm really excited about this and I know the details.
It's going to be amplify your market. It's going to be able to bring people together, hyper successful people in a room for 3 days. We're going to a resort, so there'll be fun stuff, be canoeing and paddleboarding and fishing. But we're also going to spend hours together masterminding. And here's the power of it.
Where is it being held?
Oh, it's going to be Puerto Vallarta. No, that's okay.
Ooh, PVR is fun. Yes.
Yes. The Sierra Lago, which is a resort out there. And it's a cool place. And we're talking about doing some crazy things, a lot of swag. But what I'm excited about is we're going to do some, speaking, talk about networking, PR, branding, joint ventures, partnerships, and then marketing some of the experts in the.
Yeah. And who else is in the room? Like you have Tanya, right, in the room?
So Tanya's coming, Christina Daves, who's got a big PR firm, Tyler Piggott from our group. He's going to talk about marketing, and then Josh will talk about joint ventures, and I'm going to talk about networking. But I want people to visualize this. That's what we're trying to get across. Imagine there'll be 20 or 30 people there, but these are hyper successful people that you start building a relationship because you're spending hours with them. Some you're going to like and some, not going to be, but you're going to find those 2 or 3, 4 or 5 that go, let's work together. Let's build an offer. Let's build a project. Let's get you into my network. If a guy's worth $100 million, or millions of dollars, listeners, think about that. What kind of network are you getting into? And here's the thing about networking and about a thought leader platform like we're doing, Jen, is we're financially different. It doesn't matter where you are financially. And this is so important for listeners. You can still serve millionaires, billionaires, hyper successful people because they're human and they're looking for something as well. So don't be afraid, like the billionaire called me. I think 2 years ago, I'd have freaked out and not answered the call. But I didn't know who it was. And once he told me, I didn't freak out. I just said, how can I help you? Treat him like, he doesn't know my podcast is making me hundreds of millions or $10. And it doesn't matter. It's I've got something to help him, to serve him, to help him grow what he's doing. It's the power of this, it's.
Well, and just like the people that you guys pulled together for this mastermind, I know a handful of them, and I'm just like, wow, it is going to yeah, you're silly not to go because working with any one of you individually is more expensive than the whole thing.
There you go. That's such a well said. It's interesting when this guy told me, this is such a great comment. He goes, he's a millionaire, multimillionaire already. He goes, I love going into a room where I make the least amount of money than everybody else, and I can learn. But here's the problem with networking. When people go in there, they're making $150,000 a year, which is good money, but they're in a room with people with hundreds of millions of dollars each. You start telling them what to do. You start coming in with an ego. You start coming in as pompous and all now. They'll smell you out so fast. Come in with this open heart, open mind, and just say, guys, I'm here to learn. Girls, I'm here to learn. And big things are going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just being around the right people, right? And those environments are so conducive to just like a fast track to friendships, relationships, and getting the next level going.
Yeah. And then you're right, afterwards. The event ends, you're still not got these connections. And guess what? You built people in your network you're going to work on for years, doing great things.
Definitely. Definitely. What are you most excited about in your life right now?
There's 2 projects I've been asked to do. And the first one is direct mail. I work with a company called Prince. Well, we're taking direct mail using your pictures. So you take your phone, you upload your 20 pictures for free, and we'll mail them to you for free. Nice, beautiful, like if you went to Walgreens or CVS, how they print them out, you get them for free. But connected to that are advertisers. So now the person has to take the picture off and look and go, oh, that's Jenn Drummond. Okay, where right now it's you get the real thing, you throw it away. This one is the ROI is already off the charts. We've got Cancer, Chewy, Cancer Society, USAA. We're bringing in the California Music Hall of Fame to be part of this. Josh is going to be part of this. I brought him in. So I'm excited because nonprofits, what we're told, this is what we were told, 85% of them get their donations from direct mail.
Really?
It's
Wow.
shocking, huh?
It's shocking to me.
Cancer Society spent $4 or $5 million last year, around those numbers, just on direct mail for donations.
Wow.
So we've got the secret sauce of really people, bringing in more people. And think about advertisers. Who wouldn't want to be on Cancer's database or Chewy's database or USAA's database of, hey, here's an email and it goes out and go, hey, this company's tied to Cancer Society. Oh, I like this company. I'm going to tell more people about it. And you start building the emotional advertising, which is really big.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Okay, so that's exciting. What's the other one?
This is a unicorn. We hear this in business. This is a true unicorn. Oh, I just talked to Josh today. He's flying out to see Josh today. So I met Tim Wright, who won the Super Bowl with New England Patriots in 2014. And I met him, and he pulls up I tell this story. He laughs. He shows his big, huge ring. First thing when we meet. And I'm like, okay, this guy may start getting into some, ego stuff. And he stopped and he goes, no, I want to tell you what I'm doing. Here's my project. He's got a headset that you wear that deaf people can now hear.
Oh, I've been seeing things on Instagram and stuff like that with the AI technology bridging these gaps and seeing and hearing and like being able to do a movement pattern they couldn't do before. Like I tear up every time.
This is bigger. So they put a headset. It doesn't have a cover. It wraps around the ear and uses the 2 bones to listen. He's already gone to Gallant University in Washington, D.C., and has done video of like 20 or 30 deaf people. They put the headset on and they have an app on the phone. You click the app and go, hey, Tony, how you doing today? And they're like, oh, my God, I can hear it. He can talk to me. Literally, I can talk to a deaf person.
Wow.
And think about deaf people. I actually just talked to my chiropractor. He went to a dance for deaf people. And what they do is they turn the speakers to the floor.
So they can feel the vibration.
There you go. This guy goes, he's hearing and feeling the music. And he's sign language. Oh my God, I can hear the words. It's all come together for me.
From headphones.
Just a set of headphones.
It's amazing.
500 million people are either deaf or hard of hearing. That's a lot of people that we're going to change.
That's a lot of people.
It's called Dome Audio. And for us, hearing, people that can hear.
Yeah, we take it for granted.
High fidelity. No, it changes the game. So if you're a sports person out there, I want you to think about this. Because it wraps around the ear, it's not, covered. You got spatial awareness. So imagine you go to a sporting event anywhere. We can now connect to the broadcaster. We can connect to the referee, but we also can talk to our friends because we're hearing it, because our friends can talk to us, because our ear is open. Going to completely change the experience in games. Imagine you mothers out there and you fathers, kids are playing these video games. They got these headsets on. Hey, dinner's ready. Hey, dinner's ready. Dinner. Hey, dinner's ready. Now with the wraparound, hey, dinner's ready. Okay, mom, dad. They put the headset and they go. These little things become big things. This is so exciting, and they really want to do it right. And they've got Beats and Apple engineers engineering this. These guys have worked on some of the biggest projects, and they're just doing an incredible job.
Yeah, fun. And see, this is your network that's bringing you these ideas, right?
Met him through a guest. He's going to be on my show actually tomorrow. But we met. He loved my energy. Right away, I said, I need you to meet this, this, and this. He's like, really? I said, yeah. And they all hit home with him. And now we text once a week or we meet once a week. And he says, Steve, I love you. You're just great. All I did was open my heart and open my mind of value. Listeners, do this. Think when you meet somebody, one, you don't know who they know. You never know, but bring them value. They may not bring you anything, but the universe changes. So I do this challenge. So we're talking about your app. So I'm actually going to do something too. So we're going to work together. So listeners, do this on a Monday, every Monday, if you could do it, great. I want you to start every person that you see in person or virtually. I want you to bring them value. Write down what you did. I gave Jenn a referral. I did this. I helped somebody with their groceries. On Friday afternoon, I want you to take 5 minutes, look at your notes. And if you didn't take notes, think about it. 3 things. Think about how you feel. Think about the person you gave value to. How did they feel? And the third, the most important thing, how much did you grow? Was it money? Was it new network? Whatever that is, write that down, and I guarantee you, crazy things will happen. If you keep doing that, eventually something's going to happen. Again, in 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, we don't know who, when, and where. We just don't know that. But that's kind of the fun of it.
Right. It'd be so boring if we knew, right? I mean, like, if I would have known growing up that I was going to climb Everest, what? No, that came out of nowhere and it surprised me and was an amazing experience. And because it came out of nowhere and was an amazing experience, I believe that more out of nowhere amazing experiences will happen in my life. And I can't wait to wake up every day.
So, and you needed a village. We all need a village. You couldn't have done that by yourself. It's a great, but you have these community people that love you, that you've built a relationship with, to help you break the world record. Why can't, Joe Smith that owns a business down there, the little liquor store, start collaborating with the other businesses? Hey, what can we do? Let's do an offer together. Whatever it is, mastermind and talk to each other. Build your village.
Yeah. I mean, even think of little downtowns like in Park City, right? They have the silly market on Sundays. That brings a whole bunch of people downtown. All those stores had to agree to allow the silly market to come together, and now they all benefit, right? And there's so many examples of that. And in my book, Breakproof, I talk about big mountains take big teams. So the bigger the mountain you want to climb, or metaphorically or physically, the bigger the team you need to build to have the energy to not crash and burn on the way up.
Yeah, it's so well said. And by the way, listeners, get her book. I got her book. I can't wait till it comes in. I did order it, and I've got more people ordering it. But learn from us talking. My dad told me when I was very young, he told me many times, do not recreate the wheel. And this is a perfect example, whether it's a book, a podcast, a TV show, something that helps you grow. Here's a tip I'll leave the audience. I tell everybody. Get better 1% every day, whatever that looks like. Read part of a book, connect with a friend, tell your employee you love. It doesn't matter, but get better 1%. And that includes value. If we started today, it's October 10th, 2023. So there's 30 days left, business days. You're better 30% by January 1st, 2024. Listeners, think about it. If you're better and have grown 30%, are you going to make more income? Whether it's $1 or $1 million, are you going to be a better person? And are you affecting and enriching people's lives? Just think about that. I know the answer. I know Jenn knows the answer because you do that every day too. So,
yeah. Do you have on a weekly basis, do you have a goal of how many people you impact, or you just allow it to be organic?
oh, that's such a great question, Jenn. It's Everybody. I meet somebody like I'm jumping on this show. How can I make it the best show for Jenn? You've invited me as a guest. I want to do the best I can for you. You know, maybe it's 80%, 90%, it doesn't matter, but always do your best. Sometimes you're gonna connect with somebody and it doesn't work. That's okay, but leave what's the word I want to use? Leave,
Leave with like you gave it everything you got, so you have no.
and say, hey, great to meet you. We'll see you around. We'll, just not a fit. But it rarely happens for me because people have to get this scarcity mindset out of their head. Somebody can't work with me, I'm going to send them to somebody else may do the same thing or similar what I do. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it because that person's going to be taken care of. What are they going to remember? Steve Ramona took care of me, gave me a great referral. Well, when they run into somebody, they may go, hey, you need to talk to Steve because I left them with that increase of value.
Yeah. Okay, how do you handle like a bad day or a bad moment or a bad, like, because we're not always in summer season. Sorry, I have new kittens and they have decided that I'm in a podcast and somehow they got the door open and they will not leave me alone. They do. I'm like, only when I'm sitting here doing an interview do you care about what I'm doing. Oh, thank you. They're like children. I mean, right? I'm going to the bathroom. Yes, mom. Now I can find you. This is what I need. So, but how do you get out of the funk, or how do you allow the funk, or do you allow the down, or how do you not have a few bad minutes turn into a bad hour and a bad day and a bad week?
You're on a roll on questions. That is the greatest question. I have the easiest answer for people out there. It's so easy. When you're in a funk, stop what you're doing and either do something to serve somebody. If that means going to the corner where the homeless person is, you give them $5, you will feel better. Now, it's not going to be instant right away. Like, say, a big sale didn't go through. God, I was counting on it. But you feel better for a moment. So go out and serve somebody. And I'll tell you a story to prove this. So one day, a year or so ago, I was working and things were happening. I was in a funk. 2:00 in the afternoon, and wife's going, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go to the grocery store, get some stuff. I stand in line, and for me, the Holy Spirit came through me I want to buy this lady and this baby their groceries. I hand to the clerk, 21-year-old. He's like, dude, what are you doing, dude? You're what? Let me buy her groceries. Dude, really? He was like all freaked out. And she's like, no, no. I said, no, let me do this. I've got this calling. She had a little baby. It's like 30 or 40. The price didn't matter. What I paid didn't matter. So I did it, got done, paid for my groceries, and started walking out with her. Her name's Debbie. And she starts crying. I'm like, oh, and again, we don't know people what shoes they're in. I didn't know it. I just had this calling. And she goes, we just lost our job last week, got laid off. I didn't know I was going to pay for my groceries. And you come in and how did you know? And I said, I didn't. It was just, and I kind of talked about Holy Spirit. And it's great that I did that. But here's even bigger. What is she going to do when she goes home? Hey, honey, I met this guy, Steve. He paid for our groceries. They're going to talk about a little bit. What can we do in their head? They may not talk about, their next move is going to be, who can we help next? Most people, not everybody.
Yeah, but I think that's fair. Yeah, I love that idea of just flipping into the servant mindset because things happen, right? Like we were talking earlier, I'm dealing with a hard thing right now with the loss of a friendship and relationship that meant a lot to me. And there's moments because I'm so used to being checked in on, right? So they check in on me and how are you doing? And I check in on them. And like, it was just this little routine and pattern. And you notice you're like, wait, I wasn't checked on today. Like I wasn't like, and it's like, oh, I'm sad. And then I was like, okay, so what do? I go, okay, I either give that love to myself or I give that love to somebody else that I want to reach out, right? I can't reach out to that person because that's the agreement we made. So I have to respect that. And it's just been a reroute, a redirect, like an interruption of the pattern to do something different because it's easy to get stuck in sadness.
It's so easy. And you fall into that black hole. And you're serving me. You have me on as a guest.
I know. I was like, I'm not kidding you. Today, when I was having my sad moment because I have a slam day, and normally my friend would like be like, "Oh, let me drop off lunch today, and you can drop off lunch for me later on." And I was like, "Oh, I don't get to have lunch dropped off today." But I looked at my list. I'm like, "Well, at least I get to talk to Steve."
And that's it. You serving me. You're excited. Your energy changed. We've talked about in the green room before. Your energy was down. Look at you now. You're on fire. And that's what happens. This is a real life example of, helping me. You're helping me. You're talking about me. You're promoting me. We're doing great things, helping the listeners. So
Helping the listeners. Yes, I wanted you guys to meet my friend Steve, hear his story, because he has a story that all of us can relate to, right? Like, we work these jobs. You do a really good job at allowing them to have the death that they need to have and then proceed into a rebirth of something else, which I think sometimes we could get caught in that story of, but this was my life for 20 years. How could it be positive on the other side? And I think your resilience there of, there's going to be a new opportunity. There's going to be a new opportunity. There's going to be a new opportunity. And just that outlook has made new opportunities consistent in your life.
yep. And we all go in funks. I go in funks. We're not perfect, but we need to find out how to get out of those funks, because the longer we're in it, we're not valuable to our family or our friends, to our business. Funks don't help.
No, they don't. They're like a call to action, to do something different, to pivot. So, all right, how do people reach out to you and find you and become a part of the mastermind?
Steve Ramona. You find me on LinkedIn, SteveRamona. I have a digital business card, infone.co/podcast. Infone.co/podcast. All my communication tools are there, my email, text, all that. Reach out to me any way you want. And I'm going to do something I don't usually do as a guest. I love Jenn. We've developed this great relationship, and just we trust each other. The first 3 people that contact me because of this podcast, I'm going to send you a $20 Amazon gift card. Just got to contact me. You get on a phone. There's no rules or regulations. They just reach out and say, "Hey, I heard you on Jenn's podcast, and I want to thank you and reward you," because what Jenn is doing is pretty awesome. She's done awesome things in her life, but all her awesome things are about helping and serving others. And that needs to get out there.
Yes. Yes. Coming from the Master Servant's Heart podcast host and all things, Steve, thank you so much for your time today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.